All right, so getting into this next game, we got the New York Knicks visiting the Chicago Bulls. All right, this game is to be played at 8 p.m. Tuesday night. The line opened up at over under 212.5. Chicago +4. The line moved to over under 212.5 and Chicago +5. All right, so let's go ahead and let's take a look at a couple things in this game. First and foremost, we're going to start off with the injury report. Okay, when you're looking at these two teams, you are looking at, for the New York Knicks, Bogdanovich is probable, all right, with the wrist. He will be active for Tuesday's battle against the Bulls. Of course, we already know Julius Randle's still out with that dislocated shoulder and shoulder surgery. I think he's going to be out for the season now. And then for Chicago, usual suspects: Dusonomo, Kobe White, Caruso, all questionable or probable. All right, Zach LaVine out. Lonzo Ball out, Patrick Williams out, Julian Phillips is out. Kobe White is projected to play despite that left ankle sprain, and yeah, that's definitely going to be an important call for them on whether or not they will be successful in tonight's game. All right, so when you're talking about the New York Knicks are coming off losses to the Bulls and Heat while beating the Kings and Bucks. Whereas the Chicago Bulls recently lost to the Magic and Hawks while beating the Timberwolves and the Knicks. Okay, when you're looking at these two teams head-to-head, the last 10 games, New York owns this series straight up 6-4 against the spread. They also own this series 6-4, and it's been 3 to the over, 7 to the under in the last 10 games these two teams have played. These teams have played twice already this season. Once in New York and once in Chicago. They just recently played 4 days ago, actually, in Chicago. Chicago won 108-100. Remember, though, that was minus OG Anunoby. Okay? Now, when you're talking about these two teams, okay, as far as situationally, New York as an away favorite is 10-5-1 against the spread, whereas a home underdog, Chicago's 10-8-1. So these two teams line up pretty good. All right, when you're talking about how they match up against the spread statistically, you know what I mean? So let's go ahead and let's just take a look at these two teams last played. Okay, so the Knicks played on Sunday. Okay, and Chicago played on Sunday. They have played, this will be the third game. Okay, fourth game and 5 nights for New York, and this will be the third game and 4 nights for Chicago. So not too much of a rest advantage there. All right, when you're looking at how these two teams have fared in this situation in over/under. All right, as an away and as a away favorite, in case New York is 6 to the over, 10 to the under, whereas Chicago as a home underdog is 11 to the over and 8 to the under. All right, so they've been playing a little bit faster in Chicago as throughout the season, especially when they're in the underdog role. All right, because, Chicago's actually been playing some pretty good defense. When you talk about these two teams, you're talking about two of the best defenses in the NBA, or at least they talk about them like they are. The Knicks right now ranked the 21st overall offense, whereas Chicago's ranks the 13th total defense in the NBA. So they've been slipping as of late, and that's middle of the pack. All right, where Chicago on offense, they're the 23rd ranked offense, but the New York Knicks are the number 2 defense in all of the NBA, you guys. All right, and that's something to definitely pay attention to and understand when you got these two teams matching up, because, like I said, this is playoff basketball time right now. The Knicks are in the 5th slot, all right, and they're trying to hold on. Chicago's trying to, they're not going to catch Philly, but at the same time, I know wins are kind of important to them, regardless. All right, and they're not going to be caught by Atlanta. Or at least it doesn't look like it, because they got they got a 1-game lead on Atlanta, so they kind of need to go ahead and show up tonight. Okay, Chicago needs this game, all right, in order to have home court advantage in the play-in. All right, that play-in is something serious, man. You really want to try to duck that by any means necessary. All right, so when you look at these last ten games these teams have played, uh, New York Knicks in their last 10 games they're 5-5, straight up. All right, they're 6-4 against the spread, and they're 8 to the over, 2 to the under. All right, they've been playing a decent murderer's row, at least in their last 6 games. They played Milwaukee, Chicago, Sacramento, Miami, and OKC. All right. But before that, they were playing teams like Denver. I mean, yeah, Denver's good or great, but then they played Brooklyn, Detroit, Toronto, and San Antonio, man. So, it's a mixed bag you're seeing there. That's why it's 5-5 and 6-4 against the spread. They are in their last 3, they're 2-1 against the spread, and they have an over and an under. In that last game, against Milwaukee, of course, it went over to 221. And then when you're looking at Chicago's 4-6 in their last 10, 3-7 against the spread in their last 10, and 4 to the over, 6 to the under in their last 10. They're on 1, 2, 3, 4 unders in a row in their last 4 games. And those last 4 games were Minnesota, Atlanta, New York, and Orlando. So, yeah, those are some pretty good defensive teams. I can definitely understand why those games went under it. And those totals were low. I mean, between 211 and 212 is what the total was. All right, for those games. So that tells you that they are not doing too much scoring out there for the Chicago Bulls. The most points they scored in those 3 games was 101. Yeah, 101 in those 4 games. It was 101 points. So they've not been scoring too much out there in Chicago as of late. When you're talking about how these two teams match up, or just a little information about them on how they match up. In the last 3 games, New York is averaging 114 points per game. They're giving up 108.7 points per game, whereas Chicago's scoring 102.3 points per game and giving up 108.7 points per game, man. So they're losing by 6.3 points on average. All right, and if you look full season, it's not a good stat at home. They're scoring 111 points, giving up 111 points. Whereas on the road, New York full season is scoring 113.9 points and giving up 111.1 points, man. So with this line being set at 212.5, it's basically still set at the same spot it was prior to when they played last week. All right, the Knicks, all right, as underdogs, have won 5 of the last 6 games at the United Center. Okay, the Knicks have covered the spread in 10 of their last 11 road games against Eastern Conference opponents that held a losing record, and 9 of the Knicks' last 10 night games have gone over the total points line. Whereas with Chicago, the underdogs have won each of the Bulls' last 4 games at the United Center. All right, the underdogs have covered the spread in each of the Bulls' last 4 games at the United Center. And each of the Bulls' last 4 games have gone under the total. All right, but remember, those last 4 games at the United Center were the Knicks, Atlanta, Indiana, and Washington. Okay, so they didn't cover against Washington. They covered the 3.5 and 1 against Indiana. They didn't cover against Atlanta, all right, and they won and covered against the New York Knicks, all right, and that game went under. And all those games, under that Washington game, under the Indy game, under the Atlanta game, under in the New York Knicks game, man. So, what's my lean for this game? It can only be, being honest, right now, it's got to be the Knicks, man. The Knicks started off, it was -4 last night. Now it's moved up to -5. So I definitely would have to rock with the Knicks. I'll probably play them on the money line. At 5 points is a little too rich for me. Also, when it comes to the over-under, I definitely would be leaning towards the under. Probably the Bulls team total under, because the Bulls team total right now, let's see what it's set at. Bulls team total is at 105.5. Okay, they have not scored 105 over 105 Yeah, the last time they did it was against Brooklyn. Okay, and Brooklyn doesn't play any defense at all. And then before that, it was they scored 105 against Washington, and that's way back on March 25th, man. So yeah, I definitely would have to take the under 105 and a half. The Bulls team total points under 105 and a half. That's probably be my lean for this game. Most likely going to end up going to the window on that and playing that one. But y'all let me know what y'all think.